if it was illegal to say stupid things into a microphone.
Why must you be so stupid?
These guys would be doing life without parole.
Hey, everybody, we're back from prison.
Why do we keep encouraging this kind of behavior? It's the Breaking the Ice podcast with Josh Dolan.
You know, we could, go to jail for this.
Along with Mike Shue and Isaiah Moskahana Bonsa Monablitz Moskowitz, whatever the hell his name is.
It doesn't have a, hey, how's it going?
AJ.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? How's it going, guys? How's it going?
Good. How are you, man?
Awesome, man.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
No
Thank
problem.
you for coming on. I know. I'm guessing you're probably super busy these days.
Yeah,
I mean, you got the gym, but the doc probably blew things up, right?
Yeah, it's been insanity, but you just got to ride the wave, and the whole thing's been super humbling. So it's a pleasure to talk and meet with people.
Yeah, it seems like you've done every podcast on the planet except for Joe Rogan. Are you getting sick of talking about this stuff?
Well, you know what? I kind of did it to myself because when I was on the Chicklets interview, I made the mistake. Well, I don't call it a mistake. I said that I'll talk to anyone, really. You know what I mean? And then from that point on, it was kind of like I was getting requests. But you got to back up the talk. So I said I would do it. So you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, I didn't even hear that. I was just surprised you got back to me.
And I was reading that you almost didn't even you kind of didn't want to do this documentary at first. You just didn't even want to talk about it anymore, right?
No, it's one of those things, between some personal feelings about some stuff that went on around that time and some of the after effects, and all that other stuff, you know what I mean? It was something I wasn't 100% certain, we really wanted to do. But we ended up deciding that we just wanted to do it, and here we are.
Now, to me, it was kind of like, let's set the record straight about the Trashers and what went on. Was there anything in the documentary? I mean, did these guys do it right, or was there something with the end product that you didn't agree with, or you thought that they got wrong?
No, I got to tell you, I was like, I got really close with the Way brothers, who are the producers of this thing. And we've actually become friends. And, they're both younger than me, not by much, but they were super fair. I thought it was a very balanced documentary, to be honest with you. I thought it was great. And the accuracy was kind of eerie because, sometimes with docs, there's some embellishments here and there, but truthfully, I think that just makes the story that much crazier. It was very, very accurate, which is crazy to say, really.
What part of the story do you think was a little bit wrong? Like too far?
Honestly, there really wasn't much wrong. I mean, when I say it's probably 98% accurate. I mean, there's little nitpicky things that only probably I would notice, you know what I mean? Right. But honestly, it was beyond accurate, and that's why I think that's truthfully why I think so many people have liked this story, because it's authentic. It wasn't fabricated or anything like that. It was what we were doing. It was what we were about.
When the players talked about bags of money being dropped on the floor, yeah, I see you laughing. When literally, when players were like, wait a second, they had to go to their wives and say, we're getting paid in fucking cash,
so we can keep getting that unemployment check too.
I mean, look after the NHL lockout, the year, and what was the guy's name from the Devils?
Right. Mike Rupp.
Yeah.
So he had to have looked at his wife and said, yeah, so the NHL is all fucked up, and these guys are paying in cash. That's legit, right? That's how you rolled.
Allegedly, I didn't do it. Listen, here's the way I describe it. I was the starting pitcher. You know what I mean? My dad was the closer. he closed the game out is how he closed it. And my job was just to kind of set the table.
Good. And you set the table too, man. That was a great documentary.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it was, and again, the producer, how he kind of talked me into it is, and I don't know, I just believed him. He's like, listen, we're going to knock this out of the park if you let us. We really want to do this project. And, I don't know. I just, again, it felt real. It felt authentic. They, they started filming. I mean, they spoke to me originally the end of 2018. They were filming in the summer of 2019. So you're talking, this has been a multi-year project, excuse me. And they've been straight with me from day one. They would always keep me posted. They would, they made me, even though I didn't have anything to do with editing or anything, they made me feel part of the project. And in the past, especially as a kid, it's kind of like they would get to me to really get to the story with my dad and stuff like that. So it was, I thought they did an amazing job.
What's amazing is the amount of video there was from the time, like it seemed like you and your family and everybody was on camera constantly. Did you have like a friend or buddy or someone that actually worked for you with a camera all the time? It seemed like you just
like in
filmed
Goon?
Everything. Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, I got to tell you, and I'm looking at the box now where they are. I literally have tape from my birth, like 1986, to like present. You know what I mean? My mom always had the home video camera, holidays, every school thing.
So that was legit.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm literally looking at a box over there. I'm in my living room. I'm the keeper of the tapes because I kind of
the VHS tapes.
Yeah, well, we were lucky. We could, I'm getting old. There's been a few different conversions. It went from VHS tapes to like those little mini ones to DVDs. Yep. Now everything's like USB. It's crazy, and
shit's all living on YouTube now.
Exactly. So I was, but you know what? I maybe about 9-10 years old, I started personally getting interested. I would take the camera. I'd be that annoying little kid at like Christmas, putting the camera in your face and this.
I was
and that.
the same way.
And I just loved the camera. I love taking video, and as I get older, I mean, I'm 35 now. I mean, it's great. I kind of have a tradition. Like what we do is, we take home video, miscellaneous stuff throughout the year, and then on New Year's Day, we kind of watch like the past year, like different stuff, Christmas.
Nice.
And, so it makes a cool little thing. And, not a lot of people, I was telling my wife, because she's got everything on her phone. I said, you trust this cloud or whatever you call it. I said,
right.
I was like, let's just, the cloud evaporates, you got nothing. You know what I mean? So
let's go back to old school VHS motherfuckers.
And pictures too, because I was just thinking, because I just had a baby 5 months ago, and I was just like, my parents have photo albums, and I was like, if the internet goes away, I have nothing from my daughter.
The crazy thing is literally like when the power goes out, all of a sudden you're like,
now
my
what?
world is gone. What the fuck?
This is all very fragile.
Documentary.
Download the app on your phone. It's called Free Prints. You get like 89. You pay for shipping, but you get like 89 free pictures a month, and that's what I do every month. I just print them off the phone. You try to buy, but I've always had that background with like physical photos, and I mean, forget it. The amount of photos we have. Same thing. My mom had albums, boxes, the whole, it's
where did Kodak go? I mean, give me a fucking break. Let's go. Bring that shit back.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think.
I want to say one thing to you, AJ. Go ahead, Josh. I have one thing I want to say that's going to get him going. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say my favorite part of you capturing all that on those tapes were your wardrobe back then. Like that just transferred me right back to middle school and high school. I was like,
dude,
oh yeah.
You were like the fucking you were the fucking Eminem Jr.
Well, the funny thing is, and people don't believe me, I never liked Eminem. I don't like Eminem. I never, like, people were always like, oh, you try to be like, I'm like, I do not. You ask anyone close to me, I never liked Eminem. I don't like his little squealy voice. I don't like anything. You know what I mean?
You're like, I'm AJ. Fuck you.
No, but you know what it was? I swear, looking back, it's horrifying, but that's how everyone was back then.
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody was fucking,
Like
crazy.
Because I remember my parents being like, your clothes are too baggy, but then I was like, I didn't know how baggy it was. I'm like, oh, this is for a large man, unlike my 600-pound life. Like,
I used to wear like 3XL jerseys with like a 4X white tee underneath. I mean, it's ridiculous, but that's just how it was. And now the kids, I make fun of them at my gym. They wear they've been busting my chops about how I used to dress. And I'm like, well, you guys wear everything like 3 sizes too small.
So I know it's gone all the way the other way.
It's evened out.
There was baggy to, I don't need to see your fucking balls.
Yeah, we're almost back to the Larry Bird shorts. So I mean,
it's insane. It's insane the waves it goes. But it's oh man, the minute they first introduced me in the doc, I was just thinking to myself, oh man, this is bad. And
they portrayed you as the fucking douche nozzle, fucking like, what's up? Hold on, fucking, hey, what's up? You just running. I'm like, oh man, this guy's got better creds than that, but they're making him out like he's a 17-year-old fucking nobody. Fuck you, I'm doing okay.
Well, no, that wasn't the documentary. That was the commissioner. That's what he was.
That guy. Yeah, that guy.
It was so fun. It's so funny, like you said, to look back. It's just it's crazy.
How old are you now? 35?
Yeah, 35. Yep.
Yeah, dude. So 17, right? When dad gave it to you to now.
Yeah.
Like there's some shit, right? How's that time? Like, how's that been?
Yeah. I mean, it's half a lifetime ago for me. You know what I mean? It's literally like, it's like I'm born, the Trashers is the midpoint, and now it's where I'm at now. It's crazy. And it was, look, I mean, I would say when we lost the team in 2006, for a good 5-6 years, it was rough. You know, it was rough on a personal level. It was rough.
Sure.
A lot of I had to finish my last 2 years of college. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and you get kind of a normal job, and you just, and then I kind of 2011 kind of in a weird way got myself involved with professional boxing, which is just insane as it is. Right. And that's kind of been the majority of my life since then, and good. I've been in boxing now 10 and a half years. So it's like, it's just everything I've ever done in my life, believe it or not, I've never really been prepared for. It's just kind of like, I just find myself in deep water somehow, and you just either you sink or swim, you figure a way.
So where did this thing go to the next level? Was it the Drake thing when he got the jersey? Like, where did the Trashers become this like new thing? Boom, off it went.
Well, that's, it's funny. I was talking about this the other day. It makes me wonder because, the documentary came out on Tuesday, August 31st. I spoke with Drake literally the very next day, and within 3-4 days, he posted a picture with the jersey. So
he's got some followers.
Yeah. So my point, my point is, I don't know if it's the documentary that's blown this thing up. Was it the Drake thing, or was it a combination of both? I think we just hit a perfect storm. And it's been nutty ever since, it really has.
Define nutty. Define nutty.
I think that it's what you were saying earlier was it's such a genuine story. Like you said, the documentary covered it pretty well. And I think it's people can relate to it. You're the underdog. So like we were saying, you're 17, even the commissioner thinks he said his words, you're a punk. This is not going to go anywhere. This is some kid's dad buying him a hockey team. This is going to be a mess. And you built a winning team. I mean, you somehow balanced that chemistry between, the enforcer thing and actual skill. And you were somehow able, you and your crew were somehow able to get those guys to work together to be a decent team. I think that's like the story people want to see. They want to see like, you know, these guys take something that's people thought was going to fail, and you ended up going to the finals. You know, you ended up being a great team. And I think that Drake brought attention to that. But I think the story, because when I watched, Josh told me about this, and I watched it, I'm like, this can't be real. This has to be some kind of like German art project.
I thought it was fake. I did until I watched it twice, and I'm like, this is real.
Yeah, I still get people that, which I think is the best compliment in the world. There's still people to this day that think the whole thing is made up. Like as if we've never had a team, there was no icery, nothing. And you know what? I think it's great because it just adds to the legend of the whole thing. You know, even back then, I sound like I'm 80, but you know,
it's like you've lived 80 years already.
I've been 10 years away.
Yeah, no, but you know, I think what's so cool about the Trasher stories, so many people would say to me, oh, could you imagine the Trashers nowadays with social media? And I said it wouldn't be the same because people's attention span right now are so quick that we would do something crazy. You'd be hot for about a week and then that's it. People move on. I mean, done. What we were doing back then was so authentic. We weren't viral wasn't even a thing. Like we didn't, we weren't looking to be famous or we just were literally trying to build something.
Top of mind is different from viral, right?
Yeah.
Top of mind, viral.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think the staying power with this story, which I can't believe the story is still relevant today, but I think it's people really realize how authentic it is and they feel it, like you said. And, you know, I believe it's become more than just a hockey story too. I think people kind of relate to like that underdog mentality and, you know, there's so many layers to the story. There really is.
And, you know, the characters too. It's like you couldn't write these characters any better. I mean, you know, my favorite is Tommy T-Bone Pompasano.
Oh my God.
Okay, that guy. It's like seriously. That's what made me. He was the guy that made me think this was some kind of like mockumentary. Like they were just making this up because you can't make up.
That couldn't be more him. That's the funny thing is I was talking to him the other. I mean, he still lives around. You know, he's like 20 minutes away. But I talked to him like a week. I mean, that's literally him. I mean, I'm telling you. That wasn't for Netflix. That wasn't for the camera. That was like from the day I met him as like an 11-year-old to now. That's just him.
When you met him and he was putting you through the glass.
Yes, exactly.
And the funniest thing is that he just admitted it. He's like, yeah, I was coked out of my mind. I just
middle school kids coked out of my mind.
But that's what makes that's what makes a good story. And it's so hard to differentiate like good stories and made up documentaries. And as you watch these documentaries these days, you know, there are so many producers behind the MTV world and all the shit. And you kind of watch and go, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
More that dude, trust me, I watched your show twice before I did this show. And I'm like, this shit ain't made up. This guy's dad's doing some shit and the thing and the stuff and the thing. I'm like, unless I'm a complete fool, this shit is legit. And boom, here goes AJ. Like it's hard to determine.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, even like today, like, I mean, you'll go on Instagram sometimes and you see all
everything's fake.
You see these videos, they're trying to be funny and they're trying to pass it off as real. And same thing. It's so fake, like you said. And, you know,
you have really, so many producers that have gone from the world of, we're a bit older than you are. So you go from like producing a sitcom, right? To going, okay, now a reality show. Oh shit. We have everyone's attention, whether it be Survivor or some fucking bullshit on, you know, MTV. And you just don't quite fucking know because there's that much time spent getting you to pay attention and getting you to react.
Yeah, it's true. And, you know,
and I questioned your show when I watched it. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is this?
It's true, and even to this day, I mean, I'm telling you, there's still people that are like, there's no way this can be, and
Right.
I think it's great. I think I just when you can, it can't all be positive. If you get a mix of, it's got to have some negative. We're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's a good thing.
No.
You can't. If everyone likes you, that's not good. So it's good that there's still people to this day that think like, no, this can't be real. It's so crazy.
Yeah, but who are these people that don't think it's real? Is it Alex Jones? I mean, like, why? You have video footage.
I know.
No, but you never know because of the way the video can be done these days. Literally, that's the fucked up part, Josh. You know that.
Yeah.
The way you can produce things to make it look grainy from 1970.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying the way a fucking producer can say, we have your attention. Let's go back to 1962. Grainy. Susie was running around the pool. This one, that one.
Kind of like how you're not really at a golf course right now.
Yeah. I actually have. Hold on.
It's a green screen.
Quick plug. Stonebridge Country Club in Goffstown, New Hampshire, allowed for this. God bless them.
None of us do ball golf. So
yeah, that's ball golf. I don't even know.
Let me do this. Let me do this, AJ. Let me do this. Ready? Section 102. Go.
The biggest thing I hate about sports and sports team is when they try to act like the fans are really part of the team. Like, oh, they're the sixth man on the court for us and all this other stuff. These guys and girls were literally part of the team. And
right. Section 102.
Yeah, 100%. And a story that really wasn't told on the doc, and the reason I say that they literally were part of the team is our first year we end up going to the playoffs, and the first round we're playing Adirondack, who was like our fiercest arch rivals, and they had home ice advantage. So the first game, the first two games up there, the first game we win, the second game we end up going into triple overtime. And maybe about 50 of them from Section 102 drove up like 3.5 hours to watch the game. And
so they would travel to different games.
Yeah. So these guys and girls traveled, and they travel like 3.5 hours. It was a Saturday night, and it goes into triple overtime. And there's nothing like playoff hockey. These guys are like spent. Going into like the second overtime, these guys, guys were having to get IVs. They were shot. So going into the third overtime, we literally ran, like, guys were drenched. Their undershirts were just like sopping wet. And there were guys that literally came down from the stands in Section 1, our Section 102 guys. They literally came down and literally took their dry shirts off their backs and gave it to our guys to wear under their jerseys for like a dry shirt. You know what I mean?
That's fucking awesome.
Wow.
Now these guys, trust me when I tell you, I love them, but they're not going to be Hanes models or anything like that. So these guys were sitting up. These guys end up going back into the stands, bare ass, no shirt, nothing. And
they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, we ended up winning the game. I mean, how much is it attributed to a dry shirt? I don't know. But
I would say the dry shirt did it.
Well, exactly. It makes it, but that was they were on board to the point where any advantage we could have, if it's a difference between our guys having a dry shirt at triple overtime and the other guys not, these guys literally took their shirts off their back for the team, and that's why you cannot tell the story about this team without them.
I think that you could probably do a whole other documentary on Section 102.
Oh my God!
I mean,
the podcast could be Section 102.
Who are those two? Who are those two? The people that they concentrated on? That woman in the wheelchair that got the goalie outfit.
Brenda and Greg. Yeah, I mean, you talk about just great people. I mean, Brenda. That woman's unfortunately had so many medical conditions. She's been in a wheelchair, I think, since high school. She said, and her husband takes care of her. I mean, they were diehards, and they came to a game once, and they just were hooked ever since. They were just hooked with the team, hooked with hockey, and just great people.
I think one of the best things too, and you obviously couldn't. I don't know if you can. Maybe you can. I haven't tried. Maybe I should try it with the Worcester Railers over here. But the guy with the truck horn that he would blow it while they were trying to have a team meeting, and he would just crank that horn at the back of the guys' heads. I don't think you probably get kicked out these days, but I don't know if
I don't, I mean, we're living in such a different world. Who knows what you could get away with that you could have back then. And it's nuts. We had a thing with Section 102. We used to say, look, as long as you don't reach over the glass or strike a player or
slap somebody in the face.
Yeah. As long as you don't cross that line, do what you got to do. You know what I mean? And that horn was so funny because that came like midway through the first season. That guy, I think he used to work on a fire truck. That was like off a fire truck.
It was long too. It was long.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I'm almost positive that was off a fire truck. And I remember the first time he did it, no one knew what was coming. It startled you. It was so loud. And coaches, seriously, I saw a coach once throw his whiteboard because it's like there's no sense of even speaking because you couldn't hear a word he was saying. You know what I mean? And, anything for any sort of advantage we could try to get. Right. You gotta exhaust all your options, really.
And that was another thing about Pompasano, right? I mean, he did some hijinks. And he had been around. It's not like he was some kind of noob equipment manager. I mean, he'd been around to a bunch of teams. And they talked about the paper thin towels. He'd leave 6 of them for the whole team, hiding the goalie equipment. I mean, those are the only things that they mentioned. I mean, can you mention stuff that they didn't get to in the documentary?
And he did it all with a cigar in his hand.
I know, all with a cigar, right?
The showers had cold water.
Right, shutting the hot water off.
Well,
is there stuff that they didn't cover in the documentary that you could mention here, or do you already?
Listen, all allegedly, obviously, but I mean, I
love how your middle fucking name is J allegedly C. Or AJ. Sorry, A allegedly J. There we go.
But no, I mean, listen. Again, I mean, I've heard of times where the visiting bench was cut in half, meaning, only half the team could really sit. And then,
AJ, allegedly,
of course. I mean, these are just
it's gamesmanship.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
No, there was an opportunity. I'm sorry. We were doing construction that day. We just were.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it happens sometimes. I mean, you'd hear of stories where the visiting hotel, the alarm gets pulled at 3 a.m.
Yeah. But that's any fucking team too, by the way. So that's any team. Yeah. No, let's cut the shit, AJ.
I'd do that if I found out where the Montreal Canadiens were staying. You don't think I'm gonna wander in there and pull the alarm?
AJ, can you? Here's a question. With your power and your clout and your experience, can you bring the Hartford Whalers back?
I don't know.
Why the fuck not? You're in Danbury, Connecticut.
You never know. I mean, it's so funny. It's so weird because Connecticut is so hard to do anything.
Yes, most of us hate driving through that fucked up state. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much potential in the state itself. It's just no one wants to do anything. Whenever I want to throw a boxing event, right? It's everything's jumping through hoops in this state.
Oh God!
And it's you're gonna have to price. With the taxes, you're gonna have to price the tickets $1,000 a ticket just to break even almost.
Pay your fucking rent.
It really. Connecticut's funny because they always want. I don't know, man. It's just they don't make it easy. Let's just put it that way. So
can we do this? Here's what to help you. Let's use this podcast for anything that you want to promote, anything you want to do. We will be.
I don't know if that'll be it. I don't know if that'll be any kind of help.
Hey.
Yeah. He said he was on chiclets. Okay.
I'm just saying, AJ, anything you want to do, we will help you promote. Cool.
Well, I appreciate it. Hey, it all helps, man. You know what I mean?
Can you use us as your central place for like any PR?
Hey, we can figure something out for sure.
Let's have a meeting.
So Isaiah brings up, bringing the Whalers back, and I'm sure tons of people have asked you all, is there any chance of bringing the Trashers back?
Right.
And first of all, I don't think a team like that could exist now. The game's changed a lot. That part of the game is becoming less and less, unfortunately. But obviously it's what people want to see. It's kind of like a NASCAR race. It's like you can go and watch the race, but you really want to see the crashes.
Yeah.
Right. And so is there, like, if someone made you an offer to bring it back or to manage or whatever another team, would you do it?
I'll tell you, I've learned in life, you never say never. I mean, I would have never thought 11 years ago I would get into boxing and being it for 10 and a half years. It's crazy. Look, like you said, I think sports, I think the world of sports is always like a reflection of society, right? So like I feel like as a society we've gotten kind of soft, and I think the game of hockey is so different. It's I have mixed feelings on it because I get asked daily, bring the Trashers back, blah blah blah. The thing is, the Trashers, I feel like at this point, it represents something more than a team, right? It was almost like the way things were back then. You know what I mean? And it's like,
right.
It's so different now. Like, could you bring that team back? You'd sell 1,000 jerseys, don't get me wrong, but would it ever live up to? I mean, you can't. It would be impossible almost. You know what I mean? And
everyone would have visors on. And
yeah, it would be. Yeah, that's weird too. But it's just I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. I mean, there's some days where I'm like, yeah, if someone made an offer to bring them back, fuck it, let's just do it. But there's part of me, that says like, I just feel like we're setting it up for disappointment. You know what I mean? I just feel like people are not. I don't even know if hockey players are being groomed the way they were back then either. I don't know if. I mean, fighting at this point, I'm shocked is still in the game, and it's going to be a sad day if they ever take it out. Because
what keeps you going? What keeps you going right now? Like, there's a reason that you're doing all this. Like, you're talking to people and you're doing this whole media tour. Like, what is keeping you going? What is it?
You know what it is? That's a great. No one's ever asked me that, but that's a great question. I think what keeps me going is I really feel humbled by the whole thing because our team, locally especially, we rose so fast like a phoenix, and then we just blew, right? And it was like I felt like we did so much good for this community in 2 years, and we didn't have like a ceremonialist end, right? I mean, there's no ways around it. I mean, it was tough circumstances how our team eventually blew up, and it's kind of nice to see 16 years later, a different attitude towards the team. You know what I mean? Because, after we lost the team, my father got into some legal stuff. Obviously, I mean, it was a lot more negative than positive, and that's tough because for 2 seasons, I mean, we were trying to build something special, and it's kind of nice to see the attitude kind of flip now. A decade and a half later, which is crazy to think, but. It's a good question. I don't know why I'm doing all this. Maybe it's something that, who knows? I mean, I'm a firm believer in you don't reject people. I mean, I know when I first got into boxing, I would die for an interview because I was trying to introduce myself and kind of get myself in the door, and I would get shut down a lot. So I always feel like, look, why would I, if someone's interested to take time out of their day to speak to me, who am I to say no? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a good question. I don't really know. I don't really know how to exactly answer it.
Well, I mean, it was a time in your life where the candle was burning at both ends, and you were at an age where your hormones were still kicking in. You're 7, you're a teenager, and you're running the most badass hockey team in the land that, ESPN is on top of, and everybody's, you've got all this attention and stuff. So it's a time. It's like you said, it can't be all good, and it definitely wasn't. but it was such an emotional time in your life. You got to look back and say, yeah, well, I did this. I created something that's going to go down in history.
I mean, it's like anything else. When years go by, you kind of, when I first watched the documentary, it was like I was floating. It was like I couldn't believe I was watching, my home videos, and it was insane, and I'm in my mid-30s now. So like looking back, I really, I was talking to my mom like a few weeks ago, and I'm like, Mom, I can't believe how many people like this documentary. It's crazy, because to me it was just our life, but my mom said, AJ, this isn't normal. Like this story is not, like my mom said, we normalize so much stuff, but what went on was not a normal story. And I don't know why it hit me differently than it would have, but I'm like, it really is crazy. And I like going to the gym, and I'm looking at like 17-year-olds in my gym that I wouldn't even like put in charge of my bathroom. You know what I mean? And
right,
it's just
yeah.
like, it's crazy. It is crazy. As I get older, the story, like for myself, gets crazy. And, in the past, it's always been like, oh, what's the big deal? But we just normalized it over here. But it's, as I get older, I really kind of learn to appreciate it more and kind of understand where people come from with the interest, and, how unbelievable it was.
You're 17, and it's true how it all went down when you were made the president and general manager. So you really didn't have a clue, and it was somebody at your school who said, hey, you're in the paper.
Yeah.
So you really did you go to your father and say, hey, what are you doing? I can't do this.
This is great because this wasn't in the doc. So, it's true. We were at dinner one night. It was a Sunday night. We're eating, and he like kind of nonchalantly says, hey, I'm going to start a team in the fall. And it's a pro team, minor league hockey. And, you're going to run the team. And my dad's a very serious individual, but he likes to joke. He likes to break balls. So I legitimately thought he was joking around. So to not give him the satisfaction, I started joking back. And I was like, yeah, sure, Dad, I'll do it. No problem. Yeah, just let me know. Where do I sign up, Joking. And that's a true story. And he kind of just nods slowly. Okay, we go back to eating. And then just like the doc says, I'm in school like 4 or 5 days later, and I got teachers coming up to me like, oh my God, like, and I go into the library, and like the doc, I mean, I'm like, what the hell? Like, and the funny thing is, I go home that night, and my dad comes home. When I tell you, it was like we were playing chicken. We didn't say anything to each other. It wasn't like, oh, did you see the paper today? It was like I was waiting for him to say something to me, and he was waiting for me. So
you weren't even like bringing it up?
No. We went home. That's how weird we are. I went home, and we literally we ate dinner. It was quiet. It was like everyone knew the elephant was in the room. My mom didn't say anything. No one said a thing. I go up to bed that night, and I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. And, like you said, with your hormones, especially, I'm starting to think, like, I'm starting to get overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't even out of high school yet. So I'm like, I got to graduate high school.
Right. Yeah.
I got to go to college in the fall. You got a girlfriend. You think that's going to be the girl forever. So I'm like, how am I going to manage? I got a girlfriend. I got some buddies. I got school. And now this. And I was legitimately going to tell my dad, like, hey, I want out, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? Even though I thought it was under a joke, under the pretenses of a joke, I said, I can't go back on my word. I told him I would do it. So it was like literally like the next day, we just literally pen and paper just started mapping things out. We didn't talk about it. We just literally went to work.
Jumped into it.
Jumped into it.
Wow.
Sink or swim.
That's it. And when I tell you, like, I wish I could say I was making it up. I mean, I'm telling you, that's how it went down. And it was so weird because, like, I thought about it like a few weeks ago, and I'm like, it's so crazy. We just got home and we didn't say anything to each other. It was just like,
and then you just started doing it, right?
Did you see the paper?
Even like, hey, Dad, what are you doing? You could have told me. None of that. None of that. Like, no, let's just like, okay, well, who are we gonna get for defenseman? You just jumped right into it like that.
It just you just start working. And it's like, that's how crazy and weird we were and still are. But, you know, it was just, it was nuts. That's exactly how it went.
You must have got so much resistance just simply because of who you were at your age. You must have, like, as you were putting the team to, like, agents. I can't even imagine you're 17 having to deal with any kind of sports agent.
I know, right?
No, I mean, you know, that's the thing too. Like, I understand that I had a lot of opportunities most people didn't at that age. And, you know, it's, you know, it was always like, oh, you know, the kid that got handed the keys to the Ferrari. But the reality was, it was very difficult because one, it's twice as hard to gain respect, number one. And number two, like you said, I mean, no one wants to deal with you. I mean, everyone thinks you're a joke. Not to mention, I'm going around as a 17-year-old kid wearing throwback jerseys and stuff and declaring we're going to be the bad boys of hockey. We're going to be the evil empire. You know, we're talking all this shit before we even play a game. And it definitely rubbed people. It would rub me the wrong way. It rubbed people the wrong way. So it's kind of like we were like ostracized, you know, and that was fine because we didn't really want to mingle with anyone. We just wanted to, but it was tough. It was tough, but you know, it's weird. You just, you know, sometimes you just put in positions and you find a way to get things done. Sometimes there's no meaning to it. Sometimes there's no explanation. It's like, you know, you hear those stories of like women who like lift a car to save their baby. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
sometimes you just randomly just figure a way to make it happen, you know?
A door opens and you go into it and you don't know why.
Right. It's kind of like you burn the bridge behind you. You were like, we're going to be the evil empire. We're going to be the, you know, the bad boys of hockey and stuff. And I'm just going to go 100% and not even leave a way out from myself. It's do or die at this point. And you did it.
No, you know, to be honest with you, I mean, I wasn't stupid. I knew, listen, the minute I knew we were going all in on this team, I knew that I would be a focal point of this storyline because of my age and everything else. And I knew I was going to get a ton of shit for he's spoiled, he's this, he's that. I knew that. And that's okay. I accepted it. So what I decided was, listen, you know, I was still to this day a huge pro wrestling fan. And the reality is I decided we're going to make like a heel character, like a bad guy. And, you know, look, what you saw on the doc, that was me, but it was definitely amplified. I definitely like amped it up because I knew I was going to get shit anyway. So I'm like, I might as well have fun and be part of the spectacle because it just made people hate us that much more. And listen, I mean, we were the highest grossing visiting team, meaning nice. when we went to other places, they'd sell out or damn near close. And you know, growing up in wrestling, I always liked the heels because they just had a feel to them when they'd come to the ring. And that was what we created with this team. And when that black bus came into town, it was like, oh my God, the bad guy. I mean, it was like, you know, those old Westerns when they walk into the bar and everything stops. I mean, that was us.
Well, that approach seems to be working for Logan Paul or Jake Paul right now. I mean, he's
Genius.
He's just embracing that. Like, go ahead, hate me.
Everybody, you know what it is, Josh. Everybody deep down wants to like the bad guy, but they're taught. We're all taught growing up you're not supposed to like the bad guy. But there's something about the quote unquote bad guy that people are just drawn to. You either want to watch them lose or watch them win, but you want to watch them, and that's what you got to embrace it. And, you know, and sometimes being a bad guy doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something illegal or something really bad. It's just, you know, how many times do you hear an adjective when a sports, you know, I hear it all the time when I'm watching basketball, like, oh, that's a bad man right there. You know, being a bad guy isn't necessarily like a bad guy. It's just being unapologetically you know what I mean? And doing what's necessary to get the job done sometimes. And, people really, I don't know. We could go into a whole psychology course, but people like it. Deep down, they like it.
People like the bad guys because they're always more interesting and more fun.
Yeah.
Really, that's evident by, if you look at any superhero movies, they make movies about the Joker,
Stories. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And it's always a more interesting story. But the point there is it's always more fun. And you guys provided that. You provided a fun game. You could talk like a hockey purist could go into your game and be like, "Oh, these guys they're not doing it the right way and whatever." But you talk to someone who's like you were talking about the Brenda and her husband, right? Yeah. They were never really into hockey, and they went to a game and they got hooked, and they were just like, "This is awesome. This is fun."
Listen, let me tell you something. What I try to explain to people too is, these minor league teams are usually in blue collar towns. Okay. Mm-hmm. And here's the reality. Let's pretend, for argument's sake, an average fan comes to 5 games a month at $20 a game for a ticket. That's $100 plus beverages, food, snacks, merchandise.
Yeah.
That's a bill for people. Okay. Like, if you look at your monthly expenses, okay, that's a bill. So if you're going to, if people are going to spend their hard-earned money to come to your stuff, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's all about winning. And I don't think we would have been as successful if we weren't winning as well. But you got to give people what they want. And whether people want to pretend or not, that part of the sport is, what got me into hockey in the early 90s when I was a kid. I mean, it was different. It was, damn, these guys can fight. Like, oh, damn, you can hit. Like, you could check someone through the, in business, it's like, what separates your podcast from this one? You have to find some sort of advantage. And, I understand with concussions and head injuries. I totally get that. And yes, it's about safety, but there is going to be a day, I feel in my heart, where the NHL outlaws fighting, and it's going to be a sad day because
they were always trying to do that too. And it's like, but a lot of the concussions don't even come from fighting. It comes from the things that happen because they're not afraid of getting punched in the face.
Exactly. But it's the optics. You know what it is? It's like, it's 2021. Like, oh my God, 2 guys are fighting. Like, we're living in a weird world right now. And it's like, I did a podcast a few weeks ago, and I could tell where it was going, and it was going to turn into a very politically correct podcast. And I was like, this is not for me. So you got to be very careful what you say. They'll take the doc off Netflix if I say something wrong. You know what I mean? So
you can say something like "she," and then you're done.
It's a very, very odd world we're living in, but it is what it is. But I always I don't know. It's just hockey, is such a beautiful game. It's a great game. And hopefully they see the big picture.
Well, I think
I don't know what happened to our golfer. I don't know what happened to Isaiah. It said it kicked him out.
Maybe his tee time came up.
He's golfing.
Speaking of blue collar, our white collar guy is having trouble logging back in. But AJ, going back to what you were saying about wrestling and stuff. That birthday party you had where all those guys showed up, like, that was insane. Like, just seeing The Rock was at your house.
Was at your birthday party.
It's so crazy. It's like, I feel like the birthday party in '97 has become the talk of the dock. I can't tell you how many people, like, I was at the gas station a few days ago, literally, and someone was like, "Yo, your birthday party was crazy." You know what I mean? It's like, it's so crazy because, I remember, so it was in '97, so I was turning 11, and it was like the day before, because I knew my birthday, I think, fell on a Saturday. My birthday party was on the Saturday, and I knew we were going to New Haven, Connecticut for a wrestling event. So I didn't know, though, until the night before. My dad's like, "Hey, I got another surprise. These guys are coming, blah, blah, blah." And again, I didn't believe them. And then they're walking, just like you see in the doc, they literally start walking through the gate. And I'm like, what the hell? And
and the way they were dressed was hilarious, too. I was like, their shirts are tucked in. Fanny packs?
Fanny packs? Yeah.
It's so funny. And it was really, honestly, they were all like mid-level guys at the time. They weren't there yet. So it's like so many people are like, oh my God, The Rock. And it's like, he wasn't The Rock. You know what I mean? He was Rocky.
He was still just a little pebble. He was just
yeah, exactly. So it was like he wasn't even The Rock yet. That wasn't even his stage name. So it was like, it's crazy to like every time I see him on TV, my mom is like infatuated with the whole situation. Every time The Rock is in one of his 1,000 movies, my mom will text me like, hey, he was in our backyard. I'm like, yeah, I know, man. You know what I mean? Like, I know. Like every movie she sees him in a commercial, she texts me that. Hey, I just saw The Rock on TV. And it's so funny because people think like I'm friends with him. Like so many people are like, oh yeah, The Rock. I'm like, I don't know the man. I just met him for like an hour at my birthday party, you know?
Have you heard from any of those guys since the Netflix thing has come out?
You know, I know for a fact that Triple H, you know, I haven't talked to him, but I know for a fact Triple H is aware of it. But I have no idea on The Rock. I mean, he's on a whole nother planet or stratosphere. I don't even know.
Right.
But maybe he's heard through the grapevine, hey, you're on some doc. I mean, whether he knows it or not, I don't know. But I do know for a fact Triple H is aware, which is pretty funny.
That's pretty awesome.
And
so now you're go ahead,
sorry,
Josh.
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
go ahead.
My thing was stupid. I was just going to say it's a good day for a birthday, August 14th, right?
Yeah.
It's good to have a fellow August 14th on the show. So.
Oh, that's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's great.
Who was at your 11th birthday party, Josh?
Isaiah. He brought his golf shoes.
Oh man.
So you're in boxing, and I know that you get Champs Gym, and you know from watching the documentary, you're very proud of that fact because it was something that you started. This was like your thing, and so what was it about boxing that got you into it? I know there was an element of that with the Trashers, you know, with the fighting and stuff. But what was it where you said, "Hey, this is something I want to do. This is something I want to latch onto"?
It was literally just like the Trashers. It was I wasn't even a boxing fan growing up. I mean, other than Mike Tyson, I couldn't tell you anything about boxing before 2011. And it's weird. I ended up, it's such a long story, but I'll sum it up. I ended up doing a favor for someone. And long story short, I ended up interacting with an old heavyweight boxer that, you know, lives in Danbury. And I never met him before in my life. I have no idea who he is. And don't ask me how. Within 2 days, next thing I know it, I was managing a fighter he was training. I can't even tell you how it started, but that's literally how it happened.
That's just like the team. Like all of a sudden, you're general manager of a hockey
You don't really
team.
pick your jobs, huh? They pick you.
I have not, you know, you talk about walking, you know, I don't know which one you said walking into a door, don't know why. My whole life is that. I don't know where I wake up with zero plan. And it's literally like I drive around, I end up where I have to end up. I don't know. By the time I go to bed at night, I'm like, I had no idea. At least one thing happens. I'm like, I had no idea this was going to happen today. Like, it's such a weird way to live, but it's so true. Like, I literally have winged the majority of stuff in my life. And I end up in situations, I have no idea how I met the guy. Within 5 days, I was managing a boxer and I was meeting with a high level boxing promoter. And it was like out of nowhere. And it was just like, here we are 10 and a half years later, I'm still doing it. And I still don't even know if I totally like boxing. I mean, it's whatever.
10 years, you haven't figured it out yet.
I don't even know if I really like the sport itself. I just, it provides me with something that burns inside of me.
It's an outlet.
It really is. And I've been able to situate myself pretty good and I'm doing things. But, you know, if tomorrow, I mean, who knows, in a year from now, I could be running a circus and I'd have no idea. I'd be on an elephant or something. I don't know. Everything is so weird in my life. It really is.
I mean, that's kind of how I've been living my life too. Like somebody asked me the other day, they're like, so how'd you end up on the radio? I was like, actually, I don't know. I wasn't trying. I just kind of ended up
No, it's listen, if you really do a deep dive, it's sometimes you don't even know how. It's like some people go to law school to be a lawyer. You're a lawyer, but I've never been prepared for anything I've ever done. And to this day, it's just the weirdest thing.
There's no roadmap for all of this.
No.
Right. Yeah. There's no formula.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely and for anyone who's listening, I don't suggest that route in life. You know what I mean?
It's very it'll bring your anxiety out.
No, I mean, I'm running on C4 energy drinks like all day long. So I don't know how. I mean, I definitely suggest having something stable. But I don't know. I don't know how we got here. You know what I mean? But we're here.
Well, you were doing something stable for a little while, right? In the dock, you were driving an oil truck. You had kind of like a 9 to 5, right? And you were just kind of, living a quiet life, which I can see how that would be appealing after managing this team, where it was like just going 1,000,000 miles an hour every single day, like you described in the doc, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Yeah. And so for a while, you did take that little kind of respite from this thing. So there's something in you that obviously I think that you need that feeling of winging it. Maybe that's something that, it's like not exactly an adrenaline thing, but it's,
I don't, Mike, I don't know. I've tried to what's the word I'm looking for? I've tried to I've done self-therapy. Like, I'm like, why do I find myself in these positions? I don't know. There's obviously, like you said, I don't know if it's just the need for competition. I don't know if it's a need for trying to make history, I think. Because in a way we did make, before the Netflix, we made some sort of history. We were the first professional team here.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know exactly why I find and I've tried to deep dive into my brain, which is a scary place. And dude, I don't know. I don't know why, like you said, why. I don't know if I was made for a quote unquote simple life. And I yearn for that in a weird way. But then when I have it, you want the craziness.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm definitely, I'm definitely if anyone's listening out there that's a deep dive psychologist, if you got free lessons, let me know, because I don't know. I don't know why, I've always, I've been drawn to the fire. I don't know why. And sometimes it'll burn you. So I don't know, but
do you think it's kind of like you don't do well with like a structured type thing? Like I've been asking myself the same question. Yeah. I'm like, why am I the way I am? It drives my wife nuts too, because she's all about lists and structure and stuff. I'll just walk into the grocery store and I'll be like, I don't know what I'm buying, but we'll see what happens. But
no, it's like I always find myself making it on time by a minute, right? It's like I'll be ready to go, have an hour to spare, and somehow I'll make where I gotta make. I'll make it on time by the skin of my ass. And I don't know why. Why do I do that? Is it an adrenaline thing? I don't know.
And your tank's on empty and you're like, do I have time to stuff again?
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm going on a 2-hour road trip. I gotta piss. Let me take a piss now, or do I just wing it and let's make it interesting? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm messed up, dude. This whole thing's turning on me today. I got problems,
maybe it has something to do with the August 14th thing, because your brain sounds a lot like mine.
Maybe, you know what, AJ? One thing people can't say is that you're boring. That's for sure.
Oh, definitely
all right?
not.
No one is ever going to say that AJ was boring. You know, so that's a good thing.
I don't know if you had a camera on me 24/7. Listen, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. Maybe that's part of me living this little straight edge life, this anxiety. Maybe I like
that's your drug. Yeah.
This whole interview is really making me freak out a little bit. I'm messed up.
Geez, sorry.
Then don't listen to our last episode.
No, I like it. I needed this. This I'm gonna have to check myself in somewhere. I mean, I'm telling you, maybe that's my drug, because I don't know, man. But it's interesting. I'm definitely I'm an interesting bird. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you've had an interesting life. Like you said, to you is normal to you, but like your mother said, this is not normal. And I'm, in a good way. It's like you've had an exciting life. And the way you're talking now, I feel like in about a year, we're going to be talking to you again, and you're going to be a certified psychiatrist. Yeah, I bet that's going to be your new thing. It's like, I got out of boxing because after I talked to you guys, I just started getting into my brain, and then I went and got my psychology degree, and now I'm helping people.
Listen, I think I would be great at that profession. If I didn't have to take like 20 years of school, I think I could do it. I think it's good.
I think you've lived enough life where you don't have to go to school at that point.
There should be like some credit, right? Like there should be like some like internship type credit, right?
Yeah, life credit. You just mail me the degree.
Yes.
Well, AJ, I really appreciate your time, man. I know like everybody wants to talk to you about the doc, and the documentary is so good. Like I said, when I first watched it, I'm like, this can't be real. You can't write characters like this, and it's just amazing. So congratulations on that. I'm glad you and your dad decided to actually do it, and make that decision.
Crazy. I know it's crazy because we were really thinking about turning it down. So it's weird to think, But
and now the Trashers are back.
Well,
it's crazy.
Well, is there any talk of like an alumni game or something?
Oh yeah, do you guys do that?
Listen, check in with me in about a month. There's some things possibly cooking, and we'll see.
That means it's in the works right now.
I won't say there's something brewing. We'll put it that way. But I can't say too much because it's got to be. We got to dot some I's and stuff and cross some T's. But definitely reach out in like a few weeks, and I should be able to.
You'll be fighting Jake Paul then too. So.
Well, that would be awesome. And don't forget, like I live right up here in Worcester. We get the Worcester Railers, I mean,
you're in Worcester.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
You guys, a lot of one of my best friends in boxing is a promoter out of Worcester. The Rivera, the Jose Rivera, the ex champ. He was I think welterweight or superman. But there's a lot of good boxers up in Worcester. We're up there a lot of amateurs, and they got some good fighters up there.
Yeah. Well, if you've got an event or you've got a boxer coming up here, let us know, man, and we'll promote it, and we'll come out and 100%. See you guys.
And also, Shoe's got a morning show too, so you can double dip there.
I do the mornings at 100 FM the Pike here in Worcester. We can, if you guys want to bring your, whoever you have in the fight, you want to bring them up to the studio or something, get them on the air, talk about the event. That'd be fantastic, man.
100%. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, this is great, man. We really appreciate your time. Great. The documentary is great. I hope everybody, even non-hockey fans, should watch this because you can't deny a good story. And this is a really great story.
No, I agree. I agree. It's one of those things where hockey could be hit or miss with people, but definitely the people that I know that aren't even hockey fans have been like, they just seem to really take to it. So I really appreciate the support.
And now Drake's involved. So
now Drake's, yeah. Oh, hey, before you go, so I don't want to make more work for you, but say I wanted to get a jersey or a T-shirt or something. Where do I go online to get something like that?
Well, you guys, there's unfortunately there's certain people that got special privileges. So you guys email me what you want. But if people want something, dbtrashers.com.
Okay.
Or we just did a collaboration with Barstool Sports.
Oh, nice.
If you go on the Barstool Sports, I think it's barstoolsports.com. If you search Danbury Trashers, we did a collaboration with Spittin' Chicklets with 2 hoodies and a T-shirt or something like that. So,
oh wow,
I know a bunch of people have been ordering from there. So it's been really cool to partner with them.
Nice.
So the Trashers are your full-time job again.
Unbelievable. It's like running a pro shop with no games coming up. It's insane.
No, yeah, you don't even have a team and the pro shop's going strong, man.
It's like I said, if you would have told me a year ago it was going to be like this, I'd be like, no way. But who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's great, AJ. Thank you so much, man. And good luck.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Hopefully we'll talk again soon, and hopefully maybe we'll see some kind of alumni game, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. have check in a few weeks.
Okay. Awesome, man.
All right,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, AJ.
Thanks,
All
AJ.
right, guys.
Appreciate it, man.